I'm honored and privileged to have you as my guest here today as someone who's worked directly, I believe, over a decade with Kobe Bryant, a global icon, superstar, both known within the sport and out of the sport by millions.
First time when I met Kobe Bryant was actually in San Diego
What separated Kobe Bryant from any other NBA player that was extremely talented?
when he steps on the floor. He has no doubt in his mind that he's gonna win. He's gonna win that game. We're gonna win that game. And like doesn't matter what we had on the floor, what we had on a bench, what was his shape, and so on and so on. When we stepped on that floor, he was ready to win every single time.
One of the things that Kobe Bryant's famously known for is Mamba mentality. What does that mean to you?
He had always, you never lose. If you try to give him shit, he has come back every single time.
Marko, thank you very much for joining the Livermore podcast. So, this podcast is to focus on peak human performance, health optimization, and longevity. And I'm honored and privileged to have you as my guest here today as someone who has worked directly, I believe, over a decade with Kobe Bryant, a global icon, superstar, both known within the sport and out of the sport by millions. And I distinctly remember the day when I heard Kobe had passed away. It was shocking. So I was in Manhattan, I think it's back in January 26th, 2020. And I was walking the streets of Manhattan and someone cried out behind me, Kobe's dead. And I couldn't believe it. So I actually went on my mobile, my smartphone, to see the news, and I found out this was actually true. It was a shocking news. As someone who was so close to him, how did you feel when you heard that news?
Oh, first, Rob. First of all, thank you so much for having me on, and that was probably one of the saddest days of my life. I was already moved back to the happiest country in the world, Finland, and all of a sudden that evening, my phone just went off. It just started messages after messages. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And I got a phone call from a really close friend of mine, and I said that please tell me this is not true. And I said, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Cope's dead." I was like, "What?" I couldn't believe it. So I said, like, "Man, I gotta close my phone right now." I called directly to Kobe's personal, like his main bodyguard. I know he was always with him. Doesn't matter where he was, you know, traveling or whatever. He was always with him, and I called him and I couldn't get him on the line. I couldn't get, it was like, you can't. I mean, it was horrible. So I called a couple of times. I sent him text messages. I said, "This is true. Is this true?" And all of a sudden, I get a message back from him. "Sorry, I was flying with the Lakers. He's still doing security for the Lakers. Flying with the Lakers. We just landed, and yes, it's true. And GG too." And all of my world just collapsed right there. And I was like, "Oh man, I gotta just hang up everything." I go to my girl's bedroom, and I say, "Uncle Kobe is dead." And he was just in an accident and he's dead. And we all started crying, still chills coming. We all started crying. He was pretty close to not only me, but he always played with my kids, and always like, he called him Uncle Kobe and they called him Uncle Kobe. So it was a sad day for everybody. And of course, I was the only person who knew Kobe in Finland. So all the media started calling me and asking questions. It was like 11 p.m. And it was shocking. And I can't believe it. I mean, last time I texted him, "Let's go for coffee when I come to town in Starbucks." and all of a sudden he doesn't exist anymore. It was I thought he was a Superman. Thought he was a superhero who never dies, you know. But it was like I said, you were shocked. The whole city of Los Angeles was shocked. Whole basketball world was shocked, and it was just very sad day for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was very, very shocking. So, what was your first encounter with Kobe Bryant? So, can you take me a little bit? So, to provide some context for the guests, Marco, you were Kobe's personal coach, I believe, therapist, for over a decade.
Basically, I was never employed by Kobe Bryant. I was always employed by the Lakers. But
Right.
I guess like throughout those years, I was working as a therapist and a trainer, and all through all those years, obviously, um, you know, I got his trust. Basically, I gained his trust, and we became friends and friends. And first time when I met Kobe Bryant was actually in San Diego. I was working with NHL, and all of a sudden NHL got into the lockout. That they called me from the Los Angeles Lakers that can I fill in? Can I come and help them out through the training camp? And as long as basically the strike or the lockout is going in NHL, if I can fill them in, because Shaq left and Shaq took one of the trainers with him. So that kind of opened the door to me to basketball, and so I go to San Diego. We are in the University of San Diego, and first training, and my boss, Gary Vitti, who's a legend in the trainer world, basically took me to the gym, say like, "Hey, dude, let's go," and I introduced you to the guys. And there is like uh, Luke Walton, Kobe Bryant, Brian Cook, Devin George, all those Lakers at the time were there, just chatting and lifting weights and stuff. And Gary said like, "Hey, this is Marko Yrjövuori," and they're like, "What?" And Kobe is like, "What's your name?" I was like, "I'm Marko Yrjövuori." He says, "Where are you from?" "I'm from Finland." He's like, "Nah, you're Finn. You're Finn." So he basically, I was Finn from that second on in basketball world with the Lakers, and that was my first contact with Kobe. And later on that day, I was known for my manual skills, so I can do pretty good, manual therapy and all that. And the same night, I get a phone call from his security, and he's like, "Hey, Marco, can you come to Cope's room?" I was like, "Sure, I'm coming." I take my portable table. We all carry portable tables. Take it to his room, and I walk in, and the funny thing is, like, because I come from Finland. I come from Finland. I come from fighting world. I come from hockey world, stuff like that. Basketball wasn't that thing to me at the time. And I think that was the one thing why Kobe took me right away. And it's like I walk in and I see a Bruce Lee book on the bed, and it's like, "Dude, are you friends with? I mean, are you a fan of Bruce Lee?" I said, "You're a big fan." I said, "I'm a big fan too." And like that was our first conversation. It was about Bruce Lee and martial arts. And I did my treatment over there. I walked away, and I get a phone call right after. "Kobe really liked you." I said, "Cool." I mean, like, well, Kobe Bryant likes me, but I'm used to that. Working with athletes, and like I said, to me, he wasn't like the superstar at the time. He became my superstar, but at the time, he wasn't. And that was my first time I kind of got to talk with Cole, and we got to know each other, and we found out that we have common interests too, and we both had kids and stuff. Oh, we didn't have kids at the time, but like we had a lot of common things we like to talk about. And one of the things what I think he liked, it wasn't basketball. I wasn't asking about 3 pointers or how you do this and that, and we were talking about completely something else. And I think that was I got a really good first impression. He didn't come out like cocky or anything like that to me. I mean, he was a really nice person from the start to me.
Incredible. Incredible. One of the things that Kobe Bryant's famously known for is Mamba mentality. What does that mean to you? I mean, to me,
Uh,
it means being the best version of yourself. But as someone that was so close to him, how do you see it?
well, the book we call them Mambaisms. when he started, he wasn't Black Mamba from the start. We called them Mambaisms because, he had always, you never lose. If you try to give him shit, he has come back every single time and you lose. He's so sharp with his tongue, like he always, I don't know if he thought about those when he was by himself in his hotel room. And, so you never win an argument with that person. And what it means to me, I mean, obviously, all the pictures are taken by really, really dear friend of mine, Andrew Bernstein, who's a world famous photographer, and it's so all the photos are kind of those are our everyday life type of thing, and Kobe had something which I never met. I not even close, which was his work ethics. That was the thing. Like it's not lie that he went to sprint 3 a.m. somewhere in Orange County and did his sprint training when everybody else were sleeping. Of course, it was partly it was insomnia because he couldn't sleep. He was so wired up all the time he couldn't sleep. But things like that, and Mamba Mentality. To be honest, I have the book with the autographs and everything, but I haven't read. I don't want to. Not now. Not yet. I will read it one day, but because I lived every day with this guy for 12 years almost. And well, in summertime we were not that close because he was there, I was in Finland or wherever I was. But like I know all those things. I already know all those things. What he's all about and what his work ethics are, and the guy was like endless learner. That's one thing which I try to teach everybody, my colleagues here, my employees here, my athletes. You're never ready. I mean, like I learn something every single week, every single day almost, by just listening or doing research. And we all know Kobe. There was moments like we were in a training room. We have this stretching stretching routine before every practice, before every game, and he's usually watching film. He's watching film over there, and it's and getting ready. So he knows already what stretchings we're gonna do. We created together this routine, and one day he was watching some natural, like some Animal Planet show. Like there was panthers running or something like that. I said, "What are you doing, Kobe?" And he's like, I'm learning how to, from these animals, how they move. And I said, get the fuck out of here. I was like, started laughing. And he was like, dead serious. I was like, oh shit. Like this guy is really trying to learn how animals move and react. So he can take that to the court or wherever he wants to take it. So, but it was funny. Like I tried to give him shit about that. I was like, oh man, this guy is dead serious about it. So those were
Wow.
like the funny moments throughout those. There was like
So movement patterns of what kind of animals?
they were probably like some panthers. They were black panther. What's the fastest animal in the world? Uh, some kind of leopard or
Cheetah?
whatever that. So cheetah or something like
Yeah.
that. So that was the one who was watching, and usually he's learning about the games, but now he was learning about the movement, and that's why we got along really well too, because movement was one of my things. I study movement and try to correct movement, and Kobe was very interested of anything, and he loved some routines. He loved to take new routines. Like throughout those 12 years there was so many different type of things he wanted to try, which made him better. Some of them didn't, but some of them did make him better. So he got stuck with those, or not stuck, but he took those as a habit, everyday life, everyday training, every day before the game, so on and so on. And I was the one which was trying to make those routines happen. Doesn't matter where we were. And it wasn't always easy. He loves to throw some curveballs on you. He tries to break your pattern too. He was testing me also every week, and then how I react, and do I get frustrated? Do I get mad? It was an interesting relationship. It was a relationship mainly, but of course, throughout those 12 years, you become friends. So I'm really proud, happy, and blessed that I can call call Kobe Bryant. He was my friend.
What separated Kobe Bryant from any other NBA player that was extremely talented?
I don't think I never ever met a guy. I mean, like when he steps on the floor, he has no doubt in his mind that he's gonna win. He's gonna win that game. We're gonna win that game. And like doesn't matter what we had on the floor, what we had on a bench, what was his shape, and so on and so on. When we stepped on that floor, he was ready to win every single time. I mean, there was no doubt in his mind. Like he tried to carry the team every single time on his shoulders, and he was harsh for it. For his teammates too. It was sometimes even scary when he was doing that. But yeah, that's I think his work ethics definitely separate. He's a very smart guy, and he played with people's heads too a lot with his teammates mainly. Like try to teach them the right thing to do, and he was pretty tough. He was pretty tough teammate. Like he gave a lot of shit uh, to if we, especially if we were losing. But you never know. He never goes to the teammates and oh yeah we won. Congrats. You doing good. He never. He was like okay, like that job done. Job's not done yet. What I'm saying. So he was interesting personality, and I think that they say that people hate winning. I mean, people hate losing. He really hated losing. I mean, really, we were there like trying to talk, like when things were flying, it can be a ESPN TV monitor flying into that, when we lose, what I'm saying? So he got super, super mad. I never seen anybody being so emotional about not doing well or not winning. Let's put it that way, or losing the game. I've never seen anybody being so emotional and react so hard to it. So he really, 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 really hated losing. That's one thing which separates him. Of course, his work ethics. Like we all know, Kobe wasn't the strongest or fastest or like most flexible. He those abilities were not his strength. His strength was right here. And it was his basketball IQ and the will. The willpower what he had. So that made me in my head. It made me kind of. He was my hero. He was my superhero. But at the time, like he was unbreakable.
Absolutely. A famous quote. He said, I don't want to be the next Michael Jordan. I only want to be Kobe Bryant.
Hmm.
I think that emphasizes the fact that, he really wanted to be a master of his own craft.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and like obviously comparison of MJ and him, that was always there, and there was a lot of similarities. He picked a lot of good qualities and techniques and stuff from MJ, and but also from everybody else. He was the student of the game all the time, and who's the best guys to learn from? MJ and those guys, of course. So that's one of the thing. One of the thing. There is always that comparison, but kind of cool thing was that it was like Shaq and Kobe, they won championships together. And when I stepped into the team, basically it became Kobe's team. That was Kobe was the superstar, and the team was built around Kobe. So that dynamics were, like, especially, because beginning, if you remember those days, we were not that great. We had Rudy Tomjanovich, great coach, absolutely great person, still good friend, but they did not get along with Kobe. It's like he was, he did not demand enough from the team in Kobe's mind, but also like Kobe not necessarily understood that these guys, they are not like you, man. These are the next level guys. There was no, he was the superstar, and they tried to build a team around him, and it took for a little while. Mitch Kupchak at the time, general manager, was an absolute genius when it comes to, and of course, Dr. Buss was still alive back then too. So that duo was they built a they built a wonderful team, and it was crazy how they did. And I saw the evolution of that team too, and of course, the evolution of Kobe too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he had to be the leader. He had to take the leader's role. And to me, he's he's not necessarily the best leader for the team. He demands a lot, but I think there were like assistant captains like Derek Fisher and those guys. They were the leaders of the team, but Kobe was the king. He was the main man. There was no doubt about that.
Absolutely. I think another famous quote that Kobe said is that the most important thing is to try and inspire people so that they can be great in whatever they want to do. So to me, yes, he obviously cared about winning all the time, but it
Mm-hmm.
also seems as if like he always wanted to get the best out of people and for people around him and his team members to reach their full potential as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what I mean. If you play with him, he's tough, but the toughness, it's tough love, let's put it that way. He wants everybody to train like him. He wants everybody to be there on time, like if you were there late, he gave you so much shit after that, and so on. And we had Phil Jackson and we had him together. That was a winning combo, of course, we all know that. But I know that I was watching Ronda Rousey, the UFC fighter, and I didn't know that, but Kobe actually sent him a message. I think it was in her like the hardest time, like he was kind of low, and Kobe just sent him a message that what, we all lose, but we all rise, so I think he had a lot of famous athletes as friends, and like I think I always wanted to be not only athletes, I always wanted to be there to listen to their stories when he was there with the Mayweather, and like I was there like a little spy, like my listening what are two world's best in their sports talking about, those were but I think he inspired a lot of people. He was great with kids, absolutely great with kids when it comes to his camps and stuff like that, like he was absolutely great with kids. He was great with my kids. They didn't play basketball, but he showed them so much love that like I had a little tear in my eye every time they were interacting, because he was their Uncle Kobe.
That's incredible. What does recovery look like on a day-to-day basis for Kobe Bryant, and how were you involved in that process pre and post game?
Well, basically, I mean, NBA season is pretty tough. It is 82 regular season games. We have these ridiculous pre-games. Back in the day, we had 8 of those, and one of them might be in China. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's crazy. And we were a good team, so we went all the way so many times, 3 years in a row when I was there, 2 championships and one unfortunate loss to Celtics. But that's the tough part. How do you recover through the whole season? Like a lot of people ask me that, so I'm trying to do this and that. How did you make, or how Kobe, how did he survive through that whole training and all those games and all those injuries? And Kobe had his own routines, and I'm actually there's a couple of funny things I tried to teach him also. Like a couple of the things what we did. Let's say this: we are on the road and we have a game. So we have a game night. We come back to the hotel. So what he wants to do is he wants an ice bath. So there I am, or mainly his security was going to the kitchen in the middle of the night in Four Seasons somewhere, getting all the ice they have in the kitchen, throw that in a bathtub, fill it with the water, so Cope can get his ice bath. But before the ice bath, we had this, like I said, I did a lot of manual therapy. So we did this like recovery type of massage, lymphatic type of treatment, little shaking of the muscles, get the nervous system relax a little bit more. And then we did our stretching routine, and then it was time for the ice bath. So that was like his routine on the when we are on the road. And we followed pretty much the same routine when we were home, or the home games at the same thing. So he used a lot of ice baths, a lot of massage therapy, a lot of soft tissue therapy, a lot of stretching. he loved the passive type of stretching, what we did. We had that routine and we did that before every game, before every practice, after every game, after every practice. So that was kind of his way to take care of his body uh, throughout the season or the training camp or whatever that was. And of course, the nutrition and of course the hydration. Those were two very different, very, very important things. And let's put it this way: like Kobe, I met 12, no, well, already more than that, but the first Kobe I met, the nutrition wasn't his strength, that's for sure. So his eating habits were not quite like what you expect of world's best basketball player doing or eating. But that got better when he got older. It got better.
What did he change?
I think he changed from McDonald's to actual food. So that's like the biggest difference, biggest difference. But also like he had, I always say, man, you have army of experts around you. He always had nutritional advisor or stuff like that. Like he always had like his own guy too with him.
Right.
Whatever that was, physical therapy or whatever that was. So he was also using because he can. I mean, that's beautiful thing about making that type of money playing basketball is that you can use professionals from different fields. But of course, he loved to use us as well because we were like the stationary. We were there all the time, and we were free for him, of course, too. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Over the
team was
period that you worked with him, when would you say was like the worst point in terms of injuries? What actually happened, and how did you help him overcome that?
well. I think there was few incidences. There was the shoulder. Shoulder was one point that was really bad. Remember when he was shooting with the left hand in the game, and then of course the Achilles. Achilles was a killer. That was something. A lot of athletes don't come back from that.
Mm.
So of course that was probably the lowest and saddest time when he had that one, and also it was kind of interesting time because you realize that holy shit, now I have some free time here, even work during the workday because I didn't have to work with him all day. But it was sad. I mean, if we would have a map in our training room wall and we put a pin every time he got hurt somewhere, that map would have been full of pins. So there were so many nagging injuries he went through, but the reason was that he was training and playing so hard that nobody can take that, not even his. Doesn't matter what you do for recovery and preventative
Do you think he
work.
overdid it? Do you think sometimes there were instances where he took it too
Did it?
far?
Of course, he overdid it. He overdid that big time. But that was his style. That was his style. And I know, but he got smarter. Like I said, older he got, smarter he got. But absolutely, he was. If you ask any physicist, if you ask anybody, any professional, they ask, did he work out too much? Hell yeah, he did. But that was his mentality. That was the Mamba mentality. That was Kobe mentality. He loved to work hard. He he wanted this. No one can say that I work harder than you, and I don't think anybody can do that. Like if I go there and say, "Well, man, I worked so much harder than you," he says that bullshit, or he works even harder because you know these stories. He's in the national team trips, and like guys are coming to the early breakfast, and he's already there. He already did one workout. He has eyes on his knees already. Like he wanted to beat everybody into the gym. If you beat him once, you did not do that twice. But he loved that. Like and getting along with Kobe well is you work. I worked really hard. I didn't work out or play basketball, but I worked my ass off. I was always ready. I was always on call. Always there. Like that's our job. It's not. I'm not trying to say that I was better than everybody else trainers over there. No, not at all. We were all ready all the time, and he respected that. Laziness does not belong into Kobe's locker room. That's for sure. And that
Absolutely.
that applies with the coaches. That applies with the teammates. Everybody. He gives you a hard time if you even show a little bit of laziness. That's the Kobe mentality. That's the Kobe I know. He's tough to everybody. But he's not like just tough and not doing that himself. He's tough to everybody. because he gives the example. He makes himself as an example. I'm working hard.
Yeah.
Although I have to tell you that sometimes we had like really hard game. We won, and coaches like, no, Phil Jackson never gave 10 days off, but sometimes he did. And PJ was like, hey, everybody, let's have a day off. His voice is like, and coach like, hell no, we coming to the gym. And all right, we're coming to the gym. So everybody's in the gym in the morning. Everybody's we're getting ready for the workout. He goes under the massage table and says, Finn, give me a good massage. So he was really, I can do anything I want. I brought you all here, but I'm not coming there. You are, because I worked my ass off already yesterday. But that was his way to say that, hey, I'm the boss.
What part of the body did you focus on most in terms of helping him prepare?
Low back and the legs.
Right.
Low back was issue for him for a long time. He was working really hard with the weights when he was younger, and he had this almost like a powerlifting routine, and it was not good for his back. So he stopped basically doing that. But we got that back in pretty good shape. Not only me, but also the other trainers. We had guru called, his name was Alex McKechnie from Scotland originally, and he had tremendous. He has really really nice core program, and like things like that. Um, we did things like that, and anything that helped or made him perform better, he did for sure. But we kind of had to convince him first, and he had to try it slowly, but almost like it's his idea to start doing this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but I think low back was an issue for him. He has really hypermobile joints, so knees, ankles. He did not have too many ligaments left in his ankles anymore.
Hmm.
They were so hypermobile and like loose. So that actually saved him from a lot of injuries when he came down awkwardly. And you see that he rolls the ankle basically. We were like, oh shit, what happened? Like he just shakes it off and keeps going. So not only that he did that, he had really high tolerance for pain.
I can imagine.
But I think back, anything around knees, ankles, and we had this episode or time when the feet were really bad, like plantar fasciitis, which is the fascia on the bottom of your foot, especially basketball players if they play. Well, they play a lot. They always have their shoes on, like, and that way, the plantar fascia sometimes gets inflamed, and it was really bad with him at the point. And I was like, that's probably, I'll say that was my time to shine, and that's how we really became close because I had really good techniques for that because I worked with hockey, and hockey has the similar issues with feet because they are always in the skates. So that way, there's like, well, and my fingers are still hurting when it comes to the techniques what we did and used with him with the plantar fascia, but those were, I think, his main issues, and hits bumps and bruises everywhere. That's for sure. The way he plays, there's no I mean, you always get hurt. You always get hurt. I always told him that. I work with hockey and fighters a lot. I say like, Cope, you're the only basketball player who could play hockey. I know you can't skate, but you could play hockey with that mentality. And he was, of course, happy about it. But I was also right about that.
What can the everyday recreational athlete learn from someone like Kobe Bryant, who's at the peak of his game, an elite athlete that is world renowned?
I think, like I say, Cope sometimes he did a little too much, but he really really took care of his body. I think every single one of us we should take good care of our bodies. Make sure you have the mobility needed. Make sure, especially make sure you have the stability needed, especially center body stability, which basically is the key to everything. Make sure that those things are in balance. They don't have to be the strongest in the world, but make sure your hip flexors and hip extensors are in good balance, so they don't turn your pelvis into the frontal tilt or anything like that. Like take care of your body. That's the thing. It's go to take nice massages, like sports massage therapists. UK has really good ones. Finland has the best ones probably.
Of
And
course.
so do that. Take care of your body. But of course, I'm a kind of like I'm preaching about uh, rest. I'm preaching about sleep. I'm telling people how to sleep properly, how to make sure that you get enough sleep. Sleep is the thing which that's where you get better. That's where you recover.
What
That's
do you
where
think
you
personally
you
works
heal.
best in terms of sleep? You touch upon a very important point because I think a lot of the NBA players, they would often travel a lot, right? Across states.
Yes,
There'd be a lot of traveling. There might be circadian disruption. So
absolutely.
how do you help them get around that with all like the jet lag and the travel?
Thank Lord, like in United States, there's only 3 hour time difference. But it's not only the athletes; it's also like CEOs who travel in between United States or continents. Time differences and so on. But the 3 hour time difference also it makes a difference. Makes a difference. 3 hours, it's either 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Of course, that makes a difference in your body because your body isn't. We have a certain body clock, 24-hour clock, which kind of tilts when you travel to different time zones and so. And let me tell you a story. There was, I think it was originally Vancouver Canucks, which is the NHL hockey team. They started time traveling. Sounds exciting, sounds really scientific, but mainly it was they kept their body clocks in the same time zone, even if they are on the East Coast. Well, uh,
Fascinating.
big hockey fan Phil Jackson is also heard about that and said like it doesn't make sense. And we tried that. And I think it was 2009 when we tried that. So what happened? Like we practiced the same time. Doesn't matter if we're in New York or Los Angeles. We practice the same time. And it's with the games, it's kind of easy because TV schedules dominate the game times. So it's almost about the same time always. Doesn't matter where you at. So we time traveled that season, and it was fun. Like you can sleep little in and stuff like that. And I think it worked. We won the championship that year. But that was one way to keep because main really really important thing for sleep is that it's regular. So you go to bed about the same time, you wake up about the same time. Doesn't matter if you have day off or not. Sunday also, try to keep your body in the same rhythm, same sleeping schedule, basically. So that's super important. When we travel, that becomes, of course, harder. We might be 3 a.m. in Denver, Colorado, and that is a challenge for the body, of course. Uh, so still, I recommend that you keep your body in pretty much the same schedule. So the sleep pressure, that type of things. You sleep when you're tired, type of thing. Those are important things. But any athlete, especially right now, like summertime when we are here, the interesting thing in Finland is like sun never goes down. Sun is up now, all the whole day basically. There is no night. So basically, you need the shades on your window, but I try to make them go to sleep early. And our practice is pretty early. So I try to get them throughout the summer training, the off-season training. I try to get them in a good sleeping pattern. And like I said about shades, one really, really important thing is it has to be a quiet room, good bed, good pillow, good blanket, good temperature.
Yeah.
18 Celsius, plus 18 Celsius is optimal sleeping, like, optimal sleeping temperature, basically. And so those type of things, the environment is super important for you, you know. And that, of course, these players who have kids, they have little kids, they don't sleep at all, you know. And you recognize a person who has kids always in the locker room. They come first and they leave the last because they want to be away from home as much as possible. Because of course everybody loves their kids, but like it's hectic. It's really hectic. But I say like for regular athletes, whoever anybody, I say like the environment, sleeping environment is super super important. So take care of that. That's the first step. I had some sleeping problems myself, and I called my good friend here, Marko Yrjövuori, who's a professor and specialized in sleep. And I called him and asked about advices and so on and so on. And when you're supposed to eat, there's a lot of different type of
I'm curious at that
yeah, sorry.
level. I'm curious at that level. Do these athletes monitor, for example, like how much REM sleep they're getting, how much deep sleep they're getting?
Very doubtful. Very doubtful. I think nowadays, like I think NBA and another wonderful invention, Aura ring.
Yes.
I think NBA actually affiliated with them now, so it's they all have those rings. So you know what? It was like beginning of 2000s when I was with the Lakers, and 12 years from that, we didn't have Aura rings. Only thing
Yeah.
we had basically was just the heart rate monitors, and HRV was something we started looking at a little bit, but we didn't. I mean, it was all subjective, like how did you sleep, how do you feel, stuff like that, and there's good sleepers, bad sleepers, but of course, when you have a game, there's a lot of adrenaline going on, win or lose. It's hard to go to bed and fall asleep for sure.
Absolutely.
And then we have these genetic monsters like Kobe Bryant, who does not sleep at all. I mean, it's like a 3 hours. I felt bad for sometimes for people who were like really working like day round, like the security and stuff, because he woke them all up all the time. He wants to go for a walk 3 a.m. somewhere on the road,
Hmm.
and he had this. I think he said that he sleeps about 3 hours a night, something like that.
Wow.
But he did have so-called power naps throughout the day, which always helps with the overall sleep. So he took before every game, he took the nap, and like I'm pretty sure when we were
How
at
long was the
home,
nap?
45 minutes to an hour, something like that. It's no reason to sleep longer than that because
Right.
otherwise it's gonna. We all know if you have a 2 hour nap, when you wake up, you are drowsy. I mean, it's like, and that one will affect also your night sleep, the sleeping pressure, basically. It will affect that one too if you take
Yeah.
too long of naps. Oh, and too late. There's a danger zone in between 6 and 8. No naps. No naps
Yes.
then, PM. So otherwise, it's going to affect your good night's sleep. But yeah, we didn't really have. I mean, we didn't have these wonderful devices, which will tell. Of course, if we had really, we start recognizing that okay, there's like a breathing disturbances, like sleep apnea type of signs. We send them to specialists, and that's a lab test.
Yeah.
When you do all that. But I think I don't know if it's better or worse. Like when you see that I slept like shit when your aura. Like you just makes you kind of like, oh no, I thought I slept well.
So
So I
were
think
athletes getting things like VO2 max tests done? Were they getting, for example, DEXA scans done back then?
uh, back then did we have VO2 max? I don't think we even had that. I mean, I know hockey did, but I don't think we did that with the Lakers. We did, of course, the blood work, all that heart, and all that. All the medical testing was done, but we didn't really do. And then it's crazy. Like nowadays, you cannot test anymore. You can't test athletes anymore. And one thing with also with all the verbals, you could not, unlike in soccer or football, you can still wear like some kind of verbals, but in basketball game you can't. So we can't really get any data from the game situation at all, which sucks because that will be interesting to see. Even just like how the stress levels go up and so on. But yeah, it was kind of sad because we didn't have. I mean, like heart rate monitor was pretty much like the only. I remember I brought Sunto guy in. He had this new Sunto team edition. Like so you can see the whole teams like throughout the practice. You can see the whole teams. Heart rates, how they go, and of course tried to tell Kobe Bryant like, hey, can you put this on? He's like, oh, F you. I'm not wearing anything. And it's not that he was in a bad shape, he was
Right.
in a great shape. But like a lot of athletes don't want to wear them because it can show that I'm not in a really good shape. But I wish we could have monitored the sleep better. But it was mainly like, how did you sleep? How do you feel? Those type of questions, which are they're important questions. Everybody knows if they're tired.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can't always rely on just technology or a wearable to tell you how well recovered you
Exactly.
are.
And to be honest, if you have a game day, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter what your aura shows or what your heart
Yeah.
rate, HRV is. You gotta play. You have to play. So, do you want that information? That, oh yeah, by the way, I'm tired. Uh, Coach will be like, so you still have to go out there and give everything, right? So,
Yeah.
I think verbals are great. All kind of information what you get from your body, those are great. Just don't let them dominate your life. I have a habit, of course, my aura. I actually put my aura. I ran out of battery. I was like, I'm not going to charge it for like a couple of weeks now because it's like I don't know. I slept pretty well, and then I look at my aura. It's like, oh shoot. I mean, it wasn't a good night's sleep at all. And then you start thinking about stuff like that. So sometimes it's good. Like I said, don't let it dominate your life. I
I
know
agree.
recreational fitness or athletes, who basically like, oh, I only had 12,900 steps and I wanted 13,000. So I'm going to walk to the market and back a couple times so I can get those 13,000 steps or something like that. It's like, and then like that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Of course, it can be a motivator too, which is nice.
As someone who knew Kobe Bryant personally, how would you think he would want to be remembered?
Oh, no, no doubt. He wanted to be, of course, no doubt, the best, one of the best basketball, like one of the best basketball players in the world. Of course, that's one thing. He definitely wanted to be remembered like that. But I know he wanted to be remembered the best dad in the world. I think that's the award he could get. I mean, that's definitely something. He got Oscars and he got NBA MVPs and all that. But I would give him the best dad award because he was I mean, this is something you don't see. Kobe with the kids. He was absolutely wonderful. I have one of my because everybody keeps asking, "What's your favorite Kobe story?" And I always say, like, I had a little girl, Emma. My older daughter was like maybe 5, 6, whatever she was at the time. And we go to the practice facility. Somehow, they came to pick me up or something from the work. And Kobe's like, hey, Emma, come over here. And always sitting on Kobe's lap, always sitting on Kobe's lap. And Kobe puts his hand out and says, Emma, give me some magic. And Emma was giving some magic to Kobe. It's like, here's thank you. And, hugged and kissed. And, it was so awesome. And well, that year, it was 2010. We won home, and we go to the locker room. There's only Kobe Bryant and the trophy. Nobody else in the locker room. Nobody else. And he's like, "Hey Emma," and of course, my family there. And he said, "Hey Emma, it's like you see, you gave me magic. See what happened? Thank you for that magic." He's like that. Emma's like, "Oh." Then he's like, "Do you want to take a picture with Uncle Kobe?" And Emma's like, I'm okay." I was like, "Holy shit!" The whole world wanted to take that picture with Trophy and Kobe at that moment. And I was like, "Can Daddy take one?" And I have a picture of him, me, and the trophy. We are just us in the locker room. It was like one of my top moments, and why it was my top moment because my girl was involved with that one, and it was just the way he was with the kids. Like the best dad award goes to Kobe Bryant. Thank you.
What was your proudest moment involved with Kobe Bryant?
uh, I do remember I entered the training staff, and everybody else had a lot of rings, lot of rings, and I was like, Kobe, I want one of those too. And that was like jokingly saying that Kobe was like, Finn, you're gonna get one. I promise you're gonna get one. And not too many years from that, we actually won the championships. And he was like, "Told you, told you." You get that, of course, the first game of the year. But I think, well, no doubt, like hugging him after the championship. Like especially the Orlando one, because that was the first one for him as his team and the leader of that team. That was Kobe's team, no doubt about it. And then hugging him on the Orlando court over there and congratulating him and saying thank you. I mean, thankful was one of the things. We were all exhausted, trainers too. We were all exhausted, but like that was one of course, it was the top moment with him. Hugging him when I know how hard he wanted it, how hard he worked for it, and he finally got it. So that was definitely one of my top moments with him, no doubt. But of course, there was a lot of moments like throughout, like just there, like everyday life. You know, I try to be always before him at the practice facility. Every morning he comes and gives you high fives, and all those moments were great. And it's like sometimes you're like, is this like real? Is this real? Like this is Finn from countryside from Finland, and here I am with the world's best player, Kobe Bryant, working with him every single day. So I mean, there was a lot of those type of moments over there.
What would you say
But
was
yeah,
the most What would you say was the most pivotal moment for you working with Kobe Bryant in terms of having first met him and then seeing the transition throughout the time you were with him?
yeah, that's a the thing was, like I said, I came from completely different world. I came from Finland, came from hockey and fighting world, and all of a sudden I'm in the basketball world. And he wasn't the superstar at the time to me, but I've always been a really really hardworking person when I was an athlete and when I was started working career. And I lost my thought. What was the question? Sorry, say that again.
So, what was the most pivotal moment
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
you?
So seeing the transition, like when he became my guy, like when he became, we started talking about girls, and I'm talking about our own girls, of course, and talking about that, like seeing the transition. Of course, the friendship started building there, but also like I got like the highest respect for his work ethics. So first he was just like, okay, it's one of those, like we are in the same facility, basically different gyms and stuff, but with the hockey, and we were kind of laughing at those guys. There they come, rap music and all relaxed and da da da. So those are not even athletes. And then when I joined the team, the reality hit me. I was like, holy shit, these guys are real athletes. And then there's Kobe with his mentality. Like I said, he wasn't the highest jumper, he wasn't the strongest guy in the gym, but the work ethics were unbelievable. And that's something I learned throughout those years. I don't know what year that was. Was that year 5 or 6 or 1 or 2, or I don't know. I mean, like all these, excuse me, all these years kind of melt together. So, but I think I saw him grow up. I mean, to be honest, he was kind of a young guy at the moment, and then I saw him getting older and smarter with training, with pretty much everything. So there was a lot of moments throughout those years.
What's the one conversation that still sticks with you to this day that you had with Kobe Bryant?
I have a couple. One is at the time my wife, uh, she got sick, and we didn't know what really was going on, and she was pregnant at the time. And I went to the practice facility, and somehow he knew about it already. And he came to me, gave me a biggest hug, said, Marko, whatever you need, I'm there for you. You know it. And I knew it. He said, like, if you want the kids to come to my place, we take care of them if you have to, and so on. So that was most definitely one of the warmest and one of those moments, like which I remember forever, no doubt. So it's like this guy, tough guy, world's best basketball. He actually cares. He cares about me. Cares about my family. I knew that, but like that level, he was really good. The other one I really remember well is too that we were arguing. He liked me, I guess, because I gave him, at least I tried to give him shit too. I wasn't afraid of him. I was like, okay, you get me fired, I go somewhere else. But like he knew that too. And, that's why we got along. I guess there was that mutual respect also, and I was a fighter, so he kind of respected that too. But we were arguing, and that was actually uh, on cameras too. I don't know if that ever got on air, but we were arguing really like, who's tougher, Superman or Batman? That was a real argument. That wasn't just like we were joking around. He was 100% sure that the Batman is tougher than Superman, and I said Superman is tougher than Batman. he was a, we all know that, but not, I don't know if everybody knows, but he was a huge Batman and, all kind of like action he was like sci-fi freak, basically. He liked Harry Potter or those movies. He was a really, really bad fan. In a way, he was a little nerd, what I'm
Mm.
saying? But, it was funny because we were like really, and I didn't give up. I was like, Superman has kryptonite, but Batman is just a human being. Yeah, but he has all the money in the world. And we had like real argument. And funny thing was like there was like TV cameras around us too. So it's like that was one of like the funny moments what we had for sure.
What was your greatest takeaway from Kobe Bryant that you implement in your life still today?
Um, I think it's never give up, never give up. I think that was the one of the things with being with the person so many years like that. Like you learn
He's
to be
he's famous for
and
saying, the moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win.
exactly. That's the thing. Yeah, I think it was like never, never, never give up. It was and he didn't really. I think I learned also like you're never ready. I mean, you're never ready. I mean, you can always learn more. He was already in everybody's book one of the best of the best, but he wanted to learn. He was like the eternal student of the game, and
He's
that's
also
what I
like,
like.
I think he was
Yeah.
also someone that really focused on marginal gains, on the fine details.
Yeah, there's like pretty cool stories about him about like before the game warming up and he was like hey, these are not going in and he says like it's not the right level, the rim is too high or too low, I can't remember, and they actually went and measured and he was right, it was like quarter of the inch or something like that,
Whoa.
but that made a difference in his shot because he was really, I mean, like how many he took that 800 shots a night or something like that, not at the game
That's
but in the
how much,
practice.
that shows how much he practiced that he was able to pick
Exactly,
up on that.
exactly, exactly. And that's what he said. He practiced every situation. So it's not going to be a new thing for him at the game. He studied everybody. He wanted to guard. He wasn't necessarily the best guard for that player, but he told coach, I'm I'm taking him. I'm taking him. And like he's guarding somebody, but what he did, he studied every move this guy possibly does. So he knew already what's coming. So he was down to the details for sure in basketball, but I think in a lot of other things too. But never give up, and never stop learning. Never close your eyes and think that you are the best already. You don't need to learn anything else because there's always somebody coming behind you and wanting it more, basically. So
So he's a five-time NBA champion.
yeah.
Were there any particular seasons with Kobe Bryant that were the like ultimate highlight? Which one was the ultimate highlight to you? What year in working with him and why?
Um, I think the Orlando when we won the 2009 championships, I think that was one of the we beat everybody that year. It was one of those. It was a fun ride. We just go to the city, we win, and we go out. Like that's one of the things. Of course, the most important, of course, to him was probably the Orlando one, and it was to me as well. It was one of the highlights throughout that. But there was a lot of things. There was when we were really bad, also, he was there was things what he did or what he wanted, demanded and all. There was a lot of things and sad thing when he got hurt, but he realized that, there's kids, these kids can run around him. They are faster than he is. And he realized that, okay, but I'm smarter than they are. So he started playing a little differently and, still winning the games and still stealing the balls and I mean he never gave up for sure. That's for sure. I that's what I that's what I respected on him, and he definitely gained my. Like I said, I wasn't a Kobe Bryant fan in the beginning. I knew who he was. I saw him daily with the fancy cars. When he was driving by our parking lot in a hockey. But then he gained like with what he can do with the basketball and on the court, especially the winning mentality. I became big fan for sure, big fan.
What
I
was
still I
your
still have all these
love that? Like,
jerseys and everything
love
here,
that.
and they are
Love
never
that.
they
I
are
see all
never
the
gonna
memorabilia.
go
Yeah.
away. Yeah, never gonna go away. That's for sure.
What was the last conversation you had with Kobe Bryant?
You know what? Like we were texting. You know, the birthdays were something we always remembered. We were texting. Those were probably the last text message was that I'm coming to Los Angeles. Let's meet for coffee. And that was the last text message conversation we ever had. And of course, like the one-on-one facing him, was because I left also 2016. I retired from NBA and I left to Europe. So that was the last conversation we had with him was in the locker room, and it's that kind of a because I told him always because I said I can't beat you up right now during the season, for example, because like I'm gonna lose my job and we're gonna lose these games if I beat you up right now. But let's do it when you retire, let's go into the ring. So first thing I told him, I hugged him. I said, thank you for everything. I said, now it's time for that ring. And he's like, no, 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 no. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. It was funny, like, because I challenged him throughout those years that we are gonna go and have a martial art fight, you and me. Because but it was joking, and but it was funny. That was kind of like the last conversation we had. There was a lot of people there, but like I had a chance to hug him, and he was like, "Thank you for everything." Basically, that's probably the last thing I told him was, "I'm gonna thank you for everything, and I'm gonna beat you up now."
That's
I don't know
incredible.
if I, I don't know if I would ask. He was a tough motherfucker. I'm telling you that much. So I don't know if I could have beat him up. He was a tough guy with the good reach too.
What I find
Yeah,
fascinating about Kobe Bryant is that he didn't just inspire people that, basketball fans. He inspired so many outside of the sport. What do you think made him able to do that?
I think the confidence he had, what he was doing, and I can't say enough that his work ethics, how he got there. Like he wasn't the best of the best. You hear the stories when he was playing in Italy when he was a kid. Didn't make any basket. Didn't even get court time. But he got mad about that and started. It's like basically I think the message is like if you want something and you work hard enough for it, anything is
Anything is
possible.
possible.
Anything is possible.
He's
I think
known for
that's
the
something.
the relentless pursuit of excellence.
Yeah, exactly. And like he's a good example that everything is possible. Anything is possible. Uh, like think about his Oscar and stuff like that. Like anything is possible if you want it enough. The guy self-taught himself to play piano. That's like
That's
those
so
are the
impressive.
things what he did. I mean, obviously he had, throughout those hours when everybody else was sleeping, he probably got bored a couple of times. So, but he looked for excellency everywhere, anywhere. Doesn't matter if it's art, if it's sports, if it's music. I heard a lot of cool stories about him. He was hanging out in New York with Bono and JC over there having dinner with them, and I got mad at him because like what, Bono and U2's been my favorite band since 1980s. And next time you have dinner with Bono, give me a call, please, or something like that. But like he didn't hang out that much with basketball guys. He had artists and musicians, actors. Like I think he was learning from them as well all the time. And of course he gave his mentality to those people too. So I never, I mean, one thing, you never hear like, yeah, Kobe was lazy. That's something doesn't, I don't think anybody ever said that. Yeah, Kobe's lazy. He was never lazy. It doesn't matter what he was.
He comes across as a family person from what I can tell, like an
Hmm.
exceptionally family guy, exceptionally good at managing relationships. Um, yeah, so in terms of like how you in terms of like other people that you know within the NBA, you still in touch with any of the other NBA players to this date?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I am. I am. I text pretty regularly with some of the guys, and I was involved with the NBA Without Borders, so I had a chance to hang out and work with my old players. Again, they were coaches there, but yeah, I tried to keep in touch with players and coaches for sure. PJ, I tried to send him a message here and there, ask for advice, for example, for something, and I tried to keep in touch with a lot of players, and yeah, we keep him. I mean, you throughout those journeys, you get lifelong friends. We went to battle together. I didn't make any baskets, but we went to the battle together. We laughed together, we cried together, and we lost and we won together. So I love it, and I always say like I have been working with some of the teams after that, and I always say like families win championships. And family is not always, it's not always we brothers and sisters and moms and dads, they argue. It's part of the family life. That's okay. Not every day is sunshine and night. That there is bad days, and you just have to go through those bad days as well. And he was definitely, most definitely, like his how he treated and how he was interacting with his children was incredible. It was unbelievable. Like you see a completely different Kobe Bryant, what you see in the media or court or wherever you see. And it's like the saddest thing is, of course, that finally he had time for his family, and then it was taken away from him. So but I know everybody knows and remembers his kids, his wife, remembers him as a family guy who would give anything and everything for his family. And life is hard. Sometimes man makes plans and God laughs. So sometimes things like we least expect. Like I said, I still don't believe that Cope's gone. It's amazing.
Tying this back to my podcast and the theme of live more, what does live more mean to you?
Uh, to me, I love my work. I really, really, this is my passion. I love to help people. I love to make them perform better. And of course, I live with them. I'm not an athlete anymore, but I live through them. I win through them, I lose through them. But I have like good example is one of my head physical therapist over here. He always tells me like, Marko, you gotta live too. So I think I just I burned out a couple times, because like positive things burn you, positive things give you also, a lot of pressure and a lot of stuff like that. So I burned out a couple times, once throughout the NBA and once over here. And now I made a list for myself. This is my priorities now. Of course, my children are everything to me. They are number one priority. But then I realized that if I'm not healthy, if I don't have the energy, I can't help my kids. I can't be the father they need to them, even though they are older now. And I think I learned to take, I know that she's going to laugh at me right now, but I think I learned to take things a little easier. And I'm trying to live my life. I'm living in the happiest country in the world. I live in one
Yeah,
of the best,
Finland
most
is
beautiful.
the happiest country in the world, according to the happiness index.
I think 9 years in a row. I don't know what time of the year. They
Why do you
probably
think
came
that
here.
is?
They probably came here in July when everybody's on vacation and it's beautiful over here. Not in January or March. What I'm saying. I don't know what it is. It's like comparing the United States and wherever I've been living. This is easy. It's so easy over here. There's not too many people. There's 5.5 million people, something like that. The city where I live, it's called Turku. It's oldest city in Finland, a former capital before Helsinki, and it's beautiful. I mean, like that's one thing I live. Like I go for walks, and I enjoy. I try to enjoy life. I don't work weekends anymore. That's number one step. But also like I prioritize sleep and I try to eat at least one apple a day type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And do things. I tell everybody
Do you?
who's like I
I'm just
work with
curious.
a lot of CEOs and pro athletes. I say like try to have at least 1 hour a week just for yourself.
Yeah.
Just for yourself. Do nothing nothing related to work or sports for yourself. Do something you love, and that's not like TikTok
Yeah.
or Instagram. Just and that's something I started doing as well. I try to get one more hour of sleep a night, and that's really important when it comes to everybody's well-being. And yeah, I mean, I think I'm 50. Holy shit, I'm 58 years old, and I think now I start learning how to live my life. That's pretty crazy. And of course, because the kids are older, I don't have to worry about them anymore. They are in Finland, which is safe. Uh, I mean, I don't have to worry about them. If I, for some reason, I'm gone tomorrow, like the government and all those, they are taking care of them. I don't have to worry about, of course, their mother too. But what I'm saying? It's like in the United States, you have to worry about all these pensions or the college tuitions. College is free over here. So, now they can study to be doctors twice if they want to, and it's not going to cost me a penny. But it's not about money, obviously. But I think I'm trying to relax. I'm in a point of life that my business is going well right now. I'm happy about have great people working with me. I'm happy about that. And now I just have to relax a little more. I live the life, get a hobby. Me and my brother were like, damn, we need a hobby. We were both martial artists. And it's like it would be nice to go
What
but I
kind of
can't,
martial
man.
artists? What kind of
I
martial arts
was
do
at
you?
Taekwondo. Taekwondo. We have
Very cool.
all my brothers. We have three brothers. We are all black belts in Taekwondo. But
Fantastic.
but I haven't done that for a while, and because I can't do it like just half speed. If I go there, I try to be like I was in
As
20s. I beat
I'm
everybody up.
curious,
So then,
I'm curious, as a Finnish person, do you use
huh?
the dry sauna? Because there's been studies done in Finland on the health benefits of dry sauna. So just curious, is that something that you implement as a daily practice or with
Hell
people?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Sauna, it's amazing. We can have a studio apartment and there's sauna in it. I think we have so many saunas that nobody like per capita over here. Anybody hasn't. But yeah, dry sauna is something. Of course, one thing with the dry sauna, it's not really dry for us because we throw water on the rocks, so we get the
Right.
steam out of it. So it's hot, but it's also steam out of it. So yeah, it's actually there's a lot of studies now, and I work in with the University of Tallinn as well, and their performance testing group, and they're actually doing an interesting study about the sauna and how it affects your performance and your recovery. So there's going to be
Is it
studies.
something,
It's all
is it
go ahead.
something that you told Kobe to do, or did Kobe Bryant do sauna?
We didn't have sauna in facility, unfortunately. But absolutely, I would have told him to do that. But I think there's more and more evidence that it's actually really, really good for your health. So sauna is recommended, and I'm not talking about Turkish sauna, the steam sauna. I'm talking about the dry Finnish sauna.
Yeah,
If you know, word sauna actually comes from Finland. So
yeah. Heat shock proteins certainly have numerous
yeah,
benefits on the human body,
exactly,
including
exactly.
cardiovascular benefits.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like you just don't go there. And of course, we dip into the water after that. Some people like to go ice swimming after that. So there is also that cold heat. Uh, what do you say? Treatment for you right there. But sauna is something we believe in. Sauna is something a lot of like older people they were born in. They were when they died, they took them to the sauna and washed them. So sauna has been in our history for a long, long, long time, and still is. And I'm a strong believer of sauna, and I like to use that as well.
Interestingly, I think there's a lot more evidence coming out on heat therapy versus cold therapy.
Yeah, I there is. That's interesting because like when in states we use heat for. I'm sorry, we use cold for everything. There is basically acute injuries. There's ice treatment for it, and of course, if it's a chronic injury, and sorry, hold on, my physical therapist is leaving, and I'm gonna keep these to her.
No worries.
So sorry about that. So like, but when I came back here, like it wasn't a big deal over here. They didn't really use ice therapy over here in Finland, and I was involved with the company called Hyperice for a long time,
Yes,
and
I've heard of
we
hyperice. Yes.
Yeah, Hyperice is a really cool company.
Is it part of Normatec as well? Because I think I
uh,
use one of their products actually,
yeah, I
Hyperice
think
Normatec.
they actually I think they bought Normatec, yes.
Yes, yeah,
But we
I
started
use
with
I use the boot, the Normatec
yeah,
boot actually.
so we started with the ice bags. Basically, I was big time helping them out with the developing the whole thing, you know, and then they got the vibration hammer, all that stuff. We were all involved with that one too, and but anyways, I came over here and I was like, what the hell, you know? There's not even like in the locker rooms or training rooms, they don't even have ice machines over there. Like everywhere you go, college, high school in the States, they use ice for acute injuries or
Mm.
recovery purposes too. And so I started using ice a lot back there. And I come back over here and I was like, what's going on? You know, like they don't use ice at all. And now it's slowly getting, I have Game Ready right here behind the camera actually, which we use the ice compression therapy. And I would say that everything which is acute, you use ice on it. But if you have like a chronic injury and you really want to get the blood flow going, you use the contrast therapy. You use the ice and the heat therapy together. And usually, if there's activity coming, you finish with the heat, and if there is rest coming, you finish with the ice. So it kind of calm the things down. Lot of times, big mistake. A lot of times is like, let's say you have a kink in your neck, or you know, like you pull a muscle and you put the heat back on it. Same effect, meaning that it makes it numb. You know, it feels good, but it actually starts the blood flow over there, so it can actually make the injury, or at least the recovering from the injury or healing from the injury, much longer. Old school hockey player once told me, his name was Mark Hardy, and he was like, he got a really big contusion in his leg, and that, you know, the doctors back then, they didn't know that much, you know, they put a heat pack on it. They almost had to amputate that leg because, you know, it swelled like crazy after that. So like acute contusion, please don't put heat on it because it's not going to be good. So but I'm a big believer of ice therapy. We use the cryotherapy now, like the basically the cold shock therapy, you know, what you call it,
Yeah.
and that's actually pretty interesting too. But ice compression, like I said, game
What
readies are
about
great.
red light therapy for healing joints? Is that something that you implement nowadays?
We do have that one too. We do have red lights too. We have like the one which you can wrap like an ice pack basically around your knee, for example. We use that. I don't know if there could be, you know better. There could be a lot of evidence of the recovery or healing effect of that. We use it once in a while, and I can't really say if that helps or not. But you know, like we try it. We try everything, of course. So, and how much evidence and research there is for the red light therapy, I don't know. I do know because I work with riders, horse riders, and they do that for the horses a lot. So horses
Mm.
receive that a lot. So they have better therapy and recovery systems than we humans have. You know, when it comes to the race horses. So
How do you see the future of sports therapy, given technology and AI? Just curious to know, as a performance coach who's had experience working with elite athletes, some of the best in the world, including Kobe Bryant, how do you see the industry evolving?
I think like I said, you know, like we talked about all kind of measurements. You know, they are important. Technology is coming; it's important. But I don't think there is never ever substitute for example, for good manual therapy or mobilization therapy or whatever you can do with your hands. So that will be there forever. I know that. But I think there
Good to
are
know you're
some,
not
you know,
being
like
replaced by AI.
it's not going to be it's impossible. It's like the coaching. I do physical coaching. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. You can do AI program, but you don't get me. You don't get my jokes and stuff, you know. So because it's a lot of psychological stuff. Coaching is you have to have the right chemistry, and I don't think AI brings that chemistry to you. Motivational stuff, and you know, I don't think I don't think one-on-one coaching or one-on-one therapy will ever go out of style. But I do agree that I love technology we have a testing protocol called neuroperformance testing, where we test 4 different abilities in the body. Doesn't matter if you're an athlete or not. We test your mobility for 13 different joints, uh, both sides, of course. We test your balance with the monitor, which actually gives you the sway number, which gives you a lot of indication for like nervous system if it's tired or not. We test your reaction and processing time, and we also use like EMG clothing, and we do test your muscle activation and muscle balance, which are great because those give us. I mean, they give us numbers which you don't really. I mean, I have pretty good eyes. I can see a lot of imbalances in your body, but they are not perfect either. So we can get little support. At least we
Yeah.
know what not to do, and we also do because we get numbers. Now we get numbers for everything. Now I can see that, well, this injured hamstring, the
Yeah.
mobility was only 75 degrees when you try to lift it up. And now it's back to 90. So now we have a good mobility over there. Let's test the strength of it. And I'm not talking about how much you can do in one of those extension or flexion machines. We actually put the sensors on, and we can see how much you can recruit those muscle fibers over there. So those things are, yeah, first of all, they're fascinating, but they give you so much more information what you can get just palpating the muscle or testing the muscle manually. Now we actually get support. So I think combination of that technology and what we do already, it's wonderful. And I'm so happy and blessed. And I live in a country which is known for the technology too. So every week I get a new contact from somebody. Hey, I have this new equipment or new gadget which you can use with your athletes. 99% of the time of they don't help me to make them stronger or faster, but there's that 1% which might be helpful for me. So I'm always, like I said, I'm open-minded. I'm not like old school trainer which does not do technology or use technology at all. I do. I'm a big believer. I'm a big fan of technology, and I'm happy I get contact from all over the world, that can you try this out and da da da. And I found like pretty much like, to me, like our testing part, if you talk about non-trauma injuries, we'll find the reason. We'll find the overuse injury reason in your body. And now we can target the right things. That's the thing, we don't do anything which will make it worse, because a lot of times, you get, well, stretch your hamstrings if your back hurts, and your hamstring might be already hyperflexible. And, that way you just make your back hurting more. It's a lot of times it's about stability. I always say stability becomes
Yeah.
before mobility. So first be stable, then you can worry about the mobility.
I think you mentioned that point around body symmetry. Biomechanics also obviously has a lot to do with this in terms of
Yes,
um, structural durability and ensuring the quality of your movement patterns
absolutely.
is top notch, not just on the court, but off the court. Things like, for example, even how you're sitting down every day, posture, all of those things have a massive impact.
And like the evolution of the game, let's talk about hockey or basketball. Like we used to be low defensive positions, sliding low, now everybody's coming up. We try to bring the pelvis up because that makes it possible for you to move properly and get the optimal power out of your body too. Because, like the old school, like everything, hockey goalies, they are all the way down below there. And
Mm.
same thing with the football goalies. They are all the way down, and I'm lifting them up. And this is not something I came up. It's obviously, like that's a biomechanical fact that you have to do it. But also, like I always consult with the goalie coaches, the top coaches. Now I'm doing really interesting program with the NHL goalie coach, and we are doing it together. He's making sure that the goalie does everything hockey wise right, and I make sure that his body working properly. So that way, oh my God, we could prevent so many injuries if we start doing right. I mean, take a look of the let's take a look of the basketball players now NBA on the court. They are sprinters. Oh my goodness, it's fast. Like go back to some of the centers, they were strike heel strikers when they ran, and then they were like, oh, my hamstring hurts, my back hurts. Of course it does. You are you're a 7+ footer and your body weight is this and that, and you don't use your body biomechanically right, it's for sure your hamstring hurts, or you pull them. So things like that, the evolution of the games is fascinating too. And like throughout, I was there with NBA for 12 years,
Yeah.
and it became from
Did you
Shaq
did you
era
use any kind of
to
tools for balance and mobility? So things like power plate. I don't know if you've come across power plate
uh,
technologies.
power plate we had, yes. So that was the measurement tool mainly for us, or balance, or how you take off from the. But like nowadays, I have of course more sophisticated, but it was very rarely, to be honest. We were probably somewhere. I think ESPN actually one point made a list who has the most advanced technology in their team, and of course you know we had Golden State Warriors, which is in the Silicon Valley. Of course they were leaders, or Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban's guys. They had, and we were on the top. I mean, we were in the lowest. I think not maybe. And I remember our management was they were like, "What the hell?" Like now we don't use technology at all, and then we kind of forced started using some of the technology, but like I said, we were doing okay without
Mm.
technology too. But that's I think it's taking over some of the pro sports a lot, the analyzing the game for sure, but also like analyzing the movement. It's coming as well. The thing is, like game situation, you can't really measure the athletes.
Mm.
It's against, and now I think new CBAs, you can't even test NHL athletes anymore. You can't test them at all, which is kind of crazy because it can be very much preventative. Also, not only that we see who's in shape or not,
Yeah.
who's valuable or not, but it can prevent so much harm if we can get those baselines, like baselines in like a lot of concussion cases in all sports, football, of course, American
Given,
football, a lot of
yeah,
head cases. So we do the baseline for that too. So
yeah.
how your central brain and central nervous system is working. So we get baseline. If somebody gets hurt, it's safe for us to bring them back. So that's one of the things what I started doing lately too, which is it's just fascinating. I just love when I get
Given
new tools into my toolbox.
given what you know now, what would have you changed throughout the course of your time working with leading athletes like Kobe Bryant?
I think the mentality of more is more, quantity over quality. I think that's definitely one thing. When I was a young athlete, I trained like crazy. I was like Kobe Bryant, but I didn't make any money out of it. But basically, I think the recovery aspect of it, like doing things smartly, not necessarily train 3 times a day. If you do one effective training session a day, it's enough.
Absolutely.
When we trained summertime, I had this company with my partner back there, with my business partner in States, and we trained a lot of athletes during the summer. We had a lot
Point.
of
I
NBA
think
athletes.
you're alluding to consistency over intensity, and that is important when it comes to minimizing injury risk
Exactly,
and longevity
exactly.
in sport, as well as peak human
Exactly.
performance.
But like I'm always here, like said, why if pro athletes during the summertime they train hour and a half a day,
Mm.
they do their explosive whatever. I'm not talking about endurance athletes. Uh, 5 days a week, then they rest, and maybe like later on the summer they get a couple basketball practices. Why would 14-year-old hockey player train 3 times a day, 6 days a week? Why? Because that's leading to disaster. So I think that's one thing because I'm come from generation when we trained like crazy,
Mm.
and I think that's definitely something. The load management. That's a fancy word. Load management is
Yes.
something we need to pay attention to, and people of course hate that. Fans hate it
Or strain. You
because
can refer to it as strain on the human body.
exactly. So basically, people hate it, fans hate it because maybe superstars are sitting actually a couple last games of the season just to get that proper rest before the playoff starts.
Mm.
But not Kobe. He would never sit down a game, just to get that rest. But I think the load management in a way that it makes sense. I don't. I mean, if you overdo, it's like training. If you overdo load management too, it leads to problems. No. So if we can get the balance in between the stress in the body and the rest in the body, that will be, and that's where basically those all kind of sensors they come to play. Those are good devices, because if I tell athlete, hey, you can't do this or that, do explosive training today because you're tired. At least, if they see it from their smartwatch or
Yeah.
somewhere, they it gives me a little bit of, background for this. So I can tell them, look
Yeah.
at this. This means that your body is not ready for reactive or explosive training. It will not make you any faster or better if we train now. If we rest today or do something else and we go there tomorrow, that again gives you gain in your speed, for example.
What's your view on the role of supplementation in elite athletics and sports? So were you were you encouraging players to use supplements based on what your domain and expertise was?
Uh, Not really. I mean, it's
Okay.
like I said, towards end of the Lakers when I was there, we took pretty much all the supplements out of the locker room. And we had a chef, of course, we have resources, you're a chef over there. So I believe that you should get everything from your daily meals,
Yes.
everything you need from your daily meals. Of course, like let's say you live in Finland, vitamin D, we need to, some of those vitamins, stuff like that, we need to, I'm not an expert in nutrition. I have an expert in nutrition working for me. But I don't think I mean, of course, there's sports where you burn so many calories you can't eat enough. I would say that then that might be beneficial for you to get some
Right.
more supplements. I think hydration is even more important. Like we forget to drink when we train hard or when we travel or when it's hot outside, or those things are super super important. But I'm not a big supplement guy. I don't have any supplements here in my facility. So if athletes want to use them, go ahead. But I would say any nutritionist nowadays would say that you don't need supplements if you get everything from your daily meals. When it comes to young athlete who lives by themselves, that's a little tougher, right? Because they have to go to the market and buy that stuff, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm not saying that I'm against the supplements, at least the legal ones, but uh, but I don't encourage my athletes to use them. If they feel like it's beneficial for them, go ahead. And of course, there's all kind of blood tests nowadays where
Yeah.
you can get exactly what you need. In that case, if you are low on iron or something, of course. But I think it should be not like, oh, that looks good, and I know this guy is taking it, so I'm taking it too.
Mm.
So that's one of the things probably with
How would you
but yeah,
prioritize? I'm curious, how would you prioritize the pyramid of health? So I consider that to be diet, sleep, exercise. And what order would you prioritize those three? Obviously, all of them are important. How would you
easy.
prioritize the order?
Easy. Sleep, nutrition, exercise.
Okay. And what
Because
is your
if
reasoning for that?
you don't have the fuel, if you're not ready, you don't have the proper rest, there's no reason to exercise.
Good
Does
point.
it make sense?
Yes.
So you need the fuel and you need the rest. Then it's time to exercise. And of course, exercising, following the programs. There's so many smart coaches out there nowadays. Like just trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust the process. Like don't start questioning. Oh no, I don't want to do this because they are good. They are good enough. I worked with a few teams over here, and my point of views and my approach is a little different than over here usually. And there is a reason. And I said, I've been doing this for 30 plus years. It works. Trust the process.
Love it. I think we've covered a lot of material. Is there anything else that you would like to add in terms of what we've might have missed or what you would like to bring to attention?
No, I think you covered pretty much everything. Like of course, like injury prevention, that those are really important to me. I'm a coach. I'm a rehabilitation coach too. So making sure that you take care of your body. We talked about it already to prevent those type of nagging or overuse injuries. When you use these right things, when you do right things, you should not have overuse injuries. If you're professional athletes, it could be really bad. You could not do your make your living if you get really bad overuse injury. But everybody, any active, any inactive too. If you have knee or back or just take care of your body. That's one of the things. Measure your sleep. I always say like sleep comes first, and I tell people I challenge everybody now. One more hour of sleep a night will make your life so much better and different. If you can add that one more hour, if you think about it, you add 1 hour of sleep every night, weekly level already. We talk
Yeah.
about 1+ night sleep
Marginal
right
gains.
there.
Marginal gains
Exactly,
compounds.
exactly. And do I always do that myself? I try to. But of course, life is life. Some things happen. Things happen and there is stress and there's all kind of things, those things. But like you said, I'm trying to live my life now. I try to prioritize, my health. That's one of the things. I'm struggling with my shoulder because I was crazy when I was younger. That was my mentality was kind of my mentality. You know what? I'm training hard as I can now, and I suffer later.
Mm.
Yeah, now it's later. So if I would have known what I know now back then, I would have done a lot of things differently.
Got it. Well, I'm really thank you for your time. And
Oh,
yeah, it's
more than
been
welcome.
this has been incredible. And yeah, for those that have tuned in and have watched this episode, I'd really be grateful if they can like and subscribe to the channel. So grateful, Marko, for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for contacting me, and I love your show. And like I mean, if we can make people healthier and perform better in their lives, we're winners.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
All right,
It's about
all
bringing
right,
awareness as well.
exactly. All
Thank you
right.
so much. And
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
would love to meet you in person at some point.
I'm coming your way. Don't worry. I'll be there one of these days. I have a lot of friends living there, so I'm coming your way
Yeah,
for
please
sure.
do let me know when you're in London.
I will. And have a wonderful summer now, everybody.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Amazing.
Take care.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Marco.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye now.